in the day, 20 years ago, aside from the grand final, Port Adelaide and Brisbane had a proper rivalry.
Yeah.
And I think it gets forgotten that Port and the Lions were right amongst it back in the early 2000s because obviously Port had, well, they choked it. They had a reputation for choking in finals and missed some opportunities. But at the time, I reckon Port Adelaide was the contender to Brisbane more than Collingwood was. I know you played Collingwood in a couple of grand finals, but the contests between Port and Brisbane back in the day, they were epic and highly sought after.
And I think there was Collingwood was around the mark playing 2 grand finals. Essendon, 2000 premiership, probably should have won or thereabouts in 99. They got knocked out of the prelim by Carlton.
Yes.
But Port Adelaide. So Port Adelaide finished in 2001, 2 and 3. Oh, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry. They were third in one, end of the home and away season, then finished first. So and only picked up the one flag.
And Brisbane actually never finished first.
No. I think we were third and maybe second a couple of times. Maybe third twice and second twice, something like that. But you think through that era, there were some really strong clubs. And I think you think, Essendon's got one flag, Port's got one flag, and we've got the 3. We made the most of our opportunities, no doubt about that. And, you'd think coming out of it, and again, not disrespecting Collingwood, but those that have won premierships, you reflect back on that era and say maybe it's Essendon that have got 2, Port got 2, and we had 2. But we made the most of an opportunity against those teams. But Port Adelaide were bloody good. They had some big wins against us, and it all come from when they came into the competition. What was that? 97. 97.
Yep.
Yeah. So 97 they come on into the comp. Brisbane didn't win their first game against Port Adelaide until the 4th game. The first one, I think, was a 2 or 3 point margin to Port, and then the next 2 were draws. Right. It was amazing how close these games were for quite a while, and then went into that era, that golden era for both clubs, where we were able to win flags, but at the top of the ladder.
A bit like Sydney and West Coast for post that.
Yeah.
So they always had those games.
Yeah, they did for a long time.
It's sort of like we eventually did get the Port and Brisbane grand final, but that was coming for a few years. Everyone predicted that 02 should have been Port and Brisbane, 03 should have been Port and Brisbane. Like Port were always amongst it.
Yeah, Port were always amongst it. Collingwood up there for a couple of years, and Essendon. Well, that Essendon team in 99, 2000, 2001. Geez, they were a strong side. With, Lloyd and Lucas and Hurd and the Johnsons through the middle of the ground, down back with Dustin Fletcher, Hall of Famer. They were a great side as well. But then, Port Adelaide were a team that their best was extreme. Absolutely extreme. And, their worst was probably just a bit below ours. And so we managed to have some good finals against them. I think the finals record, we won about 3 finals and they won 1 or something like that. But, we had a good record in finals against them.
Do you look back now, because there was heaps of chat about it and there's still, ACCA still swears by it. Do you look back 20 years on and think that you were robbed of the 4th one? By having to travel? Do you think it had that big of an impact on you? Because you did limp in.
Yeah, we did limp in, and a couple of us got injured pretty early in the game. But things went against us as far as the fixturing is. So to get 3 premierships from 4 grand finals, couldn't be happier. And in that cohort, we're very lucky. We were a bloody good team in a bunch of very good teams. That time, the AFL, and I think it all stemmed back to porridge rights at the Gabba, where I think the AFL, with the Brisbane Lions, went against the AFL's major sponsor, and I think that was Coke, and we've gone Schweppes, or the other way around. And I think, relationships were stressed through that period. I think if the AFL wanted to, even with the MCG agreement, if the AFL wanted to, we could have played here. It was our home game. But we're
talking, of course, the 2004 prelim against Geelong.
Yeah, which was our prelim.
So it was your home prelim against Geelong at the MCG.
Yeah, but because of the agreement, there had to be had to be a game at the MCG.
Correct. Yeah, there used to be an agreement. The MCG had to host a final every week.
Yeah, and again, saying that, Port Adelaide were a bloody good side and they played bloody well that day. Everything didn't go our way and on the field, but no, they absolutely deserved that win. Yeah, we could have had a better run in. don't know whether it made make the difference or not, but the relationship with the AFL at the time was tested.
Indeed.
Testy.
In testy. Tom, obviously you've got a foot in both camps, but when you talk to the Port Adelaide people from that era when you were around at Port, does the Warren Treadrays or the Dom Cassisis or the Matty Primuses of the world, I mean, obviously the 2004 premiership's magnificent. They're celebrating this week and so they should. Is there a feeling at Port Adelaide that team underachieved?
Yeah, probably. I think that they know that how much pressure they had on them, and I think winning the grand final is as hard as anyone. Lynchy knows how hard they are to win. Like Chad Corns is the one there that's probably I had the most to do with. He's an assistant coach there, and you speak to him, and they probably felt like they may or should have probably won maybe two. So they would feel like I think they underachieved a little bit through that period. But as Lynchy said, they were great teams across the board. Yeah. Like you've got not only Brisbane, but you also had Collingwood, Essendon. And then shortly after Sydney, West Coast, like you think that West Coast
and then the Geelong era
and
began.
Then Geelong. So
yeah.
And then they got to another grand final in 2007, blown away. And
apparently they played that day. They didn't do much.
No, but like so they were thereabouts. And because they finished first, you would expect to play probably more grand finals.
And like all teams had their issues. I think in 2001 grand final, Hurdy's gone in injured, so he struggled with injury. Against Collingwood, Rocker got suspended for one of the games. I reckon there was another big out. But
Jason Cloak, I think, also got suspended from the prelim as well.
Did he miss one? Yeah.
I think so, yep.
Rocker missed one as well, because I remember they moved Jason Cloak from half back. They moved him forward for that grand final. And, there was in ups and downs. So, we could have had the prelim final up here, but we're pretty happy with three.
Three premierships.
Pretty happy with three. And
being remembered as one of the best teams to ever play is a great legacy.
And almost with Port having that ability to be so up.
Yeah.
Byron Pickett, I think, was Norm Smith medal.
Yeah, he was.
He just flogged us. I mean, he played extremely well. He was hard and, he had one of his really good games and deserved the medal, and they deserved the flag.
For a 1990s baby, I was born in 1990, Lynchy's slightly older than you'll meet. That was the peak for me still. Looking back, that was the absolute, golden years of AFL footy for me. As a kid growing up, I was sort of...
Well, you and I are the same age.
10 to 15. It was like the Brisbane Lions. They're just the way it was played, the AFL, there was still limited rotations. It was like...
Yeah, I think our rotations were 25 or 20 in our grand finals.
Pre-social media, where you're not flooded with, you still had to go to your local footy, then you'd watch a replay at night or get the scores. It was peak AFL for me.
That was a very good era. So that was good. Good. All right.
So do you present the medal after the game to the Tom Rockliff medalist?
Only up here.
Hang on, is it the cup or the medal?
Probably both.
Oh, so
it should be both.
So you get both?
Both.
So there's no the Tom Rockliff Cup and the Matty Primus medal or something like that?
Well, yeah, or Choco Williams. There's a few of us. Tommy Logan.
Yeah, Tom Logan trophy.
Jared Pollack.
The Jared Pollack certificate.
Logs could maybe do the after party, take everyone out.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. No, it's all named after
Who do you want to win out of the two?
Good question.
Who do you? I mean, this is hard. Who do you barrack for?
Well, both. That's the easy answer, but slightly Port Adelaide because I know more people there.
Yeah,
and that's like relationship wise is you want them to do well. You know what it's like to play footy, how hard it is, and I've still got great relationships.
And you built the foundations there.
I've got great relationships at Brisbane, but I don't know as many people there.
You've had a good spell recently because you went into the rooms for that day in Port and said,
dagging around the players,
and then you're giving Brucey the 38's back at Brisbane, and you go, Bruce.
Yes.
He's 38.
Yes. So both.
Yeah.
And Porter up here in a couple of weeks as well.